Howdy folks, it's Bo Parker from Tennessee again, and this is try number 3 on the Cowboy Poetry. This one's about an old man. It's called 102. I went to town the other day just to hang out at the square, and I noticed this old gentleman in the park bench sitting there. Well, something about him caught my eye, just sitting there all alone, and I wondered if he'd missed his ride and maybe needed a lift home. Well, I didn't recognize him, and I know most folks in town, so I thought I'd walk on over and just see if I could sit down. Well, as I approached him, I said, "Sir, may I take a seat?" He smiled and said, "Sure, sit down, son. Take a load off of your feet. There's plenty of room on the bench, so sit down here by me. I'm just waiting for my ride, and I'd enjoy some company." I said, "I don't think I know you, sir, and I know most folks around. Are you just passing through? What brings you to our little town?" He said, "Well, I'm fixing to get married, and I wanted to bring my wife to the town that I was born in, where I began my life." I said, "Sir, if you don't mind me asking, just exactly how old are you?" He said, "If I wake up tomorrow, I'll be 102. I've led a full life, and the Lord's been good to me. I've seen the northern lights, and I've sailed the 7 seas. I've been bucked off a bronc or two, and I've drank a lot of beers, and I've packed a lot of living in just a little over 100 years. Well, by now I'm captivated, and I wanted to hear some more. So I just boldly asked him, 'Sir, were you ever in the war?' He said, 'In World War II I was a sailor. That was 4 years of constant danger. I spent 3 years in Korea as an Army Airborne Ranger. I served 2 tours in Vietnam as a United States Marine. There I was the leader of a First Force recon team. And when Desert Storm came around, I was a pilot in the Air Force. I flew over 30 sorties. That was a pretty short war, of course. Well, by now I started thinking, this old boy might be stretching the truth, but I was raised to be polite, especially to those long in the tooth, and by now a crowd had gathered. Hear these stories about his life, and someone politely asked, 'Sir, did you ever take a wife?' He said, 'I've been married 4 times, son, and each time the love was magic. And every time I lost a wife, it just seemed to get more tragic. My first wife was a millionaire. She was rolling in the dough. I lost her on safari. She was gored by a black rhino. My second one was a trapeze act in a big top circus show, till her partner lost his grip and she fell 30 feet below. The third one was a preacher woman. She was full of fire and zeal. Lost her doing missionary work. Some cannibals had her for a meal. Now the fourth one was a mortician. Her skill was admired and appreciated, but she fell asleep at work one night and was accidentally cremated. Well, number 1 was for the money, and 2 was for the show. 3 was to get me ready, and 4 was to help me go. Well, he had us hook, line, and sinker, that we'd all admit, but it was like being hooked on drugs. We couldn't find a way to quit. So someone asked him, 'Can you tell us more about you? Besides 4 wars and wives, what else did you do?' He said, 'I remember back in the 80s, I was working at MIT. I was an aerospace engineer with a solar specialty. Well, they were planning this top secret mission. It was a manned flight to the sun. They knew they'd need my help if they wanted to get her done. So I did some calculations. They checked and agreed that they were right. So we loaded up those astronauts and we made that manned flight.' I said, 'Sir, I mean no disrespect, and I know I'm not too bright, but I'm pretty sure you'd have burned up.' He said, 'No, we just went at night.' Well, by now we're convinced, and there was ample proof. He'd climb a tree to tell a lie when he could sit down and tell the truth. Well, this red Corvette pulls up with this pretty young blonde inside. He said, 'You'll have to excuse me, folks, that there'd be my ride.' Well, she was knock dead gorgeous, the epitome of pulchritude, and I just couldn't figure what she's doing with this old dude. Well, the last thing that he said to us was, 'Thank God for every day you're alive, and if you get a minute tonight, say a prayer for me in number 5. Thank you, folks. I hope you enjoyed it.